Right, so second to last predictions, even though it's third to last in order, because thanks SAG slash actor slash whatever we call you now. And yeah, I've just looked into it. As last year, it seems as if the awards are actually starting in person at the. I think it's the Royal Albert Hall still that's doing it. Um, at midday Eastern, so they can get out at 8 o'clock, so then they can get a boozer, probably, or non-alcoholic thing and whatever. So yeah, it's time to predict it with AJ, myself, and Owen. I want to say it's more likely the other people, the other two guys, rather than myself, but I have the power of British skew, which half the time gives me either a good momentum here, or most of the time I suck and the American people, the American people on the call do better. So we'll see how it goes.
Well, the problem with BAFTA is they really can go one of two ways. They either pretty much do what everybody else is doing, or they just go their own way, and you never know which year is going to do which thing. So,
There's always the third option of somewhere in the middle.
Mm-hmm.
A little column A, a little
yeah.
column.
I'm always looking out for the next BAFTA 2022, where like none of the big eight matched, where they went all quiet on the Western Front in the year of everything everywhere all at once. Um, and there were times here where I thought about taking some swings, but for the most part, I didn't.
Same.
There was
Well,
one I really, really thought about, and we'll talk about that when we get there. But I don't know about you guys, but I did pre-game this one in hopes of moving more smoothly.
I legitimately spent 40 minutes today trying to talk myself into and out of certain predictions.
So
Yeah.
the things of note that are happening as part of the show. The singing voices of Huntrix are going to be performing Golden in their first live performance outside of America for a
So we
film
don't,
which isn't even nominated because apparently it wasn't eligible.
yeah, so we don't nominate the song, but we want the ratings from getting it performed on the live show. So, oh, why not?
And then apparently Jessie Ware is going to be doing a Barbara Streisand beloved cover. Whatever beloved means, who knows? During the immemorial segment. um, but in a scheduling note, not many people might be joining us live
Nope.
for the post show because I want to say last minute because I never saw any notice of this. Oh no, they actually. Okay, apparently it was part of the press release a few weeks back, but I never saw it. I guess because, wow, I think it may have listed it as the BBC listing on that one. I have a quick click through just in case, but yeah, in America, it's airing as a pre-recorded special on E with an exclamation mark. Yeah, I don't. Oh no, there we go. In the US, the ceremony will be broadcast on E. Find out where to watch wherever you are in the world, such and such. So yeah, and unsurprisingly, the 3 hour actual event will be edited down to 2 hours, probably for everywhere. And then, as previously mentioned, Claire Binns, who's the current creative director of Picture House, both cinema, the cinema chain, and entertainment, i.e., the distributor of indie films, or mostly independent films, I should say, is getting the Outstanding Contribution to British Cinema Award. And then Dame Donna Langley, current chair of NBC Universal Entertainment is getting the Fellowship. Aside from that, it's prediction time.
I guess we're just gonna go in reverse Wikipedia order.
Mm-hmm. Which means we start with the awkward one. The one that might have nothing to do with the films, and it's more the popularity.
Yeah, as usual, I just have no idea what to do with this. All I
Mhm.
know is that Ashley usually gets this, so I have to say mine and then hope Ashley says the same thing.
Okay.
So we're starting with Rising Star, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Where we've got Robert Aramayo, Miles Caden, Chase Infinity, Archie Madekwe, and Posey Sterling. Um, I I imagine it could really be any of them, as is usually the case. I said Archie Madekwe. Just swinging for it. So Ashley, how about you?
Well, congratulations.
Yes.
You quote unquote copied me. I am going with Archie, but because I don't know. This is one where I think I might be wrong, and it might go to Chase, just because of the crazy amount of like TikTok sort of social media stuff she's been doing to obviously hype up that film. Because it was pretty much all on her account, so I see her being the one that is, the other contender. Because if we're going on it being a public vote, Archie, I guess, would head it. I would have thought in terms of British eyes, probably. But if Chase has done enough with her social media stuff, I wouldn't be surprised if she took it as well.
This is a tough one. Long story short, I'm going Archie. However, I feel that they could. The only person I took out of this was Posey Sterling. I think everybody else has a chance. Clearly, they love Sinners in One Battle, so if you want to stick with, hey, we're just going to go with whatever movie is, and not just necessarily the person, which I don't feel like that's the vibe here. I feel like they're going with the person. So, I mean, Chase Infinity is definitely a good option here. But even though it's got, as Ashley found out live on the show, fake British skew, I'm still gonna go with Archie here.
Part of me feels like he just took the money that he got for doing the Gran Turismo film and put it into Lurker, given that he's a producer.
I liked Gran Turismo. That was a fun movie to watch.
No, don't get me wrong, but it's probably the money that he got off that gig, because that's the thing. Like, Archie probably could have been a contender for it a few years back, because 2023 I see him listed for Gran Turismo and Heart of Stone, which was the Gal Gadot Netflix film, wasn't it? I think. He also showed up in Beau is Afraid, and of course in Saltburn as well.
Yeah.
It's just apparently Lurker is the one that gets the recognition for some reason. And then he's got one of the lead roles in Steel that just showed up on Amazon Prime Video as well. So.
All right. Do we go on to Best Children's and Family Film?
Yes.
Which is apparently different from animated. We're not sure how, but we're looking at
let's be honest, it was made because they thought that Paddington in Peru was going to be good. And then Wallace and Gromit just won it because Paddington wasn't.
Hey, the one thing we do have to look forward to is it was announced earlier today that Paddington is presenting. So that's all that matters.
Oh, they added that in then.
Yeah, I saw that on social media during my break today.
I hang on. Oh, that's cheeky because Ben Whishaw isn't listed in the list that I see. So does that mean he's doing Best Picture?
Paddington is going to present one battle after another. Just like nature intended.
Hello there. I'd like to be a member of the Christmas Members Club.
Paging Josie. Paging Josie. This seems like something that you need to write treatment for right now. Have it ready for Tuesday's show.
I imagine, like most people, I was looking at two of these between Argo, Boom, Lilo and Stitch, and Zootopia 2.
Weirdly enough, I was only looking at one. I didn't think anything else had a chance.
Well, yeah, because only one of these is in the animated category. So your question is like, is that one just gonna double up, or are they gonna spread the love in one of these categories? I considered Argo for that reason, but I went ahead and said Zootopia here.
That's what I find fascinating, because ever since 2021, animated. I know we're not on that yet, but animated's been 4 and it suddenly dropped to 3. The only reason I bring it up is because last year, 3 of the 4 nominees in animated were also in children's. This time it's only 1, even though Arco, which could easily have been considered for Best Animated, didn't make it in, and the ones that were in Best Animated didn't make it in Best Children's or Family Film. So I don't know what the hell's going on, but yeah, I feel this is Zootopia, Zootropolis 2 to lose. Just because I would be more thinking about it and considering other things if more of the animated ones were in there, but I think on that list it's probably Zootropolis. Lilo and Stitch is maybe the one that could, quote unquote, cause the upset. So we'll see. But yeah, I'm going with the zoo.
Well, I mean, I'd like Lilo and Stitch to win. It's the one I like out of the two. But especially for this, I don't like the name Zootopia anymore. Since the term Zootropolis has been introduced to me, I like it so much better. So yes, I concur with the panel. Zootropolis too.
All right, let's take a wild swing with these short categories.
Go ahead.
For British short film, we have. How are we choosing to say this?
Oh Lord.
I think it's Majid Safar.
That sounds right.
Nostalgia, Terrence. This is Endometriosis.
Yep.
And Welcome Home, Freckles. Well, if you're looking at Wikipedia, Nostalgia sticks out because it's the only one with a nominated person that has a Wikipedia page.
Fair.
Of all these people. So you could look at that, but I just went with This is Endometriosis because we're guessing.
See, I have what I can call calculated guessing, in that I'm going with Majid Zafar because for some reason Channel 4 is proudly trying to show it over the weekend. I can't remember exactly when. I'll see if I can get the schedule up. I know it's some point this weekend because it's just randomly on at sort of like 10 o'clock at night. Probably on around the time of the yeah, there it is. 1 o'clock at 1 o'clock in the morning, straight after Dog. Which, it's a risk as well, because it was successful at the British Independent Film Awards as well. Um, and sometimes that doesn't always necessarily carry through from independent film to the BAFTA stuff. But yeah, just because they're televising it, I'm gonna go with that one. That might be just though because of who's distributing it and whatever.
I also am going for This Is Endometriosis.
Are we on to British short, animated short?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Well, this one was made a little easier to make a choice. Not to say it's the right choice, but we've got Cardboard, Solstice, and Two Black Boys in Paradise. Again, Two Black Boys in Paradise sticks out because if you're looking at Wikipedia, it's the only one that has a person with a Wikipedia page. Or that Cardboard was Oscar shortlisted.
Correct.
So just based on that, I said Cardboard because that's the best I can do.
I literally can't say anything else because that's pretty much the same reason that I went with
Cardboard.
it.
We're making good time. We should pregame this more often.
We've got some conversations to have in a little bit. Don't worry.
Yeah, I feel like this one isn't as easy as it might seem.
Yeah.
Maybe it is. We'll see.
We've got debut by a British writer, director, or producer with The Ceremony, My Father's Shadow, Pillion, A Want in Her, and Waste Man. I'm saying Pillion because it's done so well up to this point with like the DGA nomination and the shortlist here and just other various nominations there. However, I really think this could also be My Father's Shadow pretty easily too. But just given success, which My Father's Shadow has also had, but just given Pillion's success over various award shows at this point, whether it just be mentions or little wins here and there, I'm saying Pillion, but it was definitely down to those two for me.
This is where I'm trying to. This is where I'm not sure because Pillion beat out My Father's Shadow at the Biffers, but Akinola Davis did get director for My Father's Shadow, so it's clear that they like them both. But then, interestingly, Wasteman did get the double in terms of lead and supporting performance as well. I can see that possibly coming in and being probably the third horse in this race, even though, from what I've heard, Ceremony and Want in Her are pretty good as well. I'm going to stick with Pillion, but yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if it was My Father's Shadow or Wasteman, which that'd be pretty good publicity for Wasteman, depending if then enough people see it at the handful of cinemas that it is going to be showing in starting from Friday. So,
Due to the wonderful scheduling from the film bookers that I'm assuming absolutely hate me, I will not be watching Pillion tomorrow like I was anticipating I was going to. But that's not going to stop me from picking it here.
All right, let's go ahead and do Outstanding British Film. Got a really cool lineup here.
A lot of
We
stuff
got
a lot of stuff I haven't seen.
28 Years Later, The Ballad of Wallace Island, Bridget Jones' Mad About the Boy, Die My Love, H is for Hawk, Hamnet, I Swear, Mr. Burton, Pillion, and Steve. I just saw Steve really recently. It's been on Netflix since October, and this reminded me that it was there. So, so I think there's a few things you can look at here.
Yes.
Obviously, there's one picture nominee here, which is usually what you want to go for with Hamnet. But I don't think you can ignore I Swear or Pillion either. However, as I typically do here, I have decided to play it safe again, and I'm just going to say Hamnet. But I don't think it can be underestimated how much I Swear and Pillion could also potentially be this.
Hellion has a chance, but then of course, if most people put it as their outstanding debut, they might want to give it to something else. But in that respect, like H is for Hawk has got a lot of buzz, um, and the obvious one, but I won't bring it up. Because Owen, I wouldn't be surprised if Owen possibly picks it. Um, I will stick with Hamnet, but I wouldn't be surprised if they suddenly said Ballad of Wallace Island. The fact that it was supposedly strong enough to get into. I say the fact it was supposedly strong enough to get into the long list of 10 for actual picture. But then again, you also have to take into account somehow that 10 also include Nuremberg, which got nothing. At least Ballad of Wallace Island got a few nominations. um, yeah, but that's there's nothing there that I'd say is like, why is it there? That's a that's a very good 10.
Well, there's a lot of options I had here. This is the first one that I had to be like, okay, let me asterisk the ones that I feel like are in this. And I got it down to 4. And then I was like, I'll take Pillion out. And I feel like I Swear would be out, even though clearly they love it. So it's down to the movie that I want to win and the movie that's got the best chance to win. The right answer is Wallace Island, all day, every day. I'd love to take a swing. You know, I won the Spirit Awards of all things. I could take wild swings and fall flat on my face and lose to AJ yet again. I don't want to do that because last year don't count for obvious reasons. So if I'm going to win this year, I'm going to win by beating both, and that's what I want to do. And I'm going to have to play it as safe as I can, except for a couple that might not be favorable in my opinion, but I guess we'll see if they go that way. I'm also going Hamnet.
All right, this one is a little more interesting than it might seem.
I got it down to 2.
For visual effects, we've got Avatar, F1, Frankenstein, How to Train Your Dragon, and The Lost Bus. So 3 of these are Oscar nominees.
Mm-hmm.
And you immediately think it might be one of those. However, you also think when there's something as obvious as Avatar, there's always the possibility an ex machina thing is going to happen.
Honest, Avatar was never even consideration for me.
That's a choice.
I'm aware.
So, yeah, I could totally imagine this being How to Train Your Dragon. And I actually think that's a pretty big possibility. I'm going
But
to I'm going to stick with Avatar. But if I thought they were going to kind of throw a curve here, and I don't even know if it's a whole it didn't get nominated at the Oscars thing. It wasn't even shortlisted by the Oscars thing, which I still don't know what the story behind that is. But yeah, I could imagine that, but I'm gonna say Avatar.
Um, uh, let's go left field. Part of me is going to say, no, because that'd be makeup and hair. No, I'll go Avatar. Because, like, with it's weird, like, somehow sometimes I feel the special visual effects is like the special effects that are on Frankenstein's monster and things like that sort of thing. So I don't know. Um, I'm kind of intrigued as to whether they go F1 as well. Because it's like, does the stunt work count as visual effects? Given that BAFTA doesn't have a stunt work category? Um, but no. Let's throw it a bone and give it something. And then they can randomly say Avatar Fire and Ash on the DVD cover. Has got an award.
yeah, Avatar was never in conversation for me. I felt it might have been too obvious. And I'm probably wrong, and I have a feeling I could be. The answer I want to go with here is F1, but I didn't. Instead of going with the one I don't want to go with, because I feel like it's got to get a couple of things here and there, and it ain't winning anything major. So, yeah, Frankenstein.
Okay. All right. For sound, we have F1 Frankenstein, One Battle After Another, Sinners, and Warfare. This one was one of the most annoying to me because there is no exaggeration how it could literally be any of these five.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Like, there's not even one that I rule out. So, what I ended up doing, and I was thinking about obviously, Warfare is not an Oscar nominee, but also the sound category and war movies go hand in hand.
They clearly love Warfare across the board to nominate it as much as they have this whole season.
So, I was like, well, Warfare versus F1, this sounds familiar.
Mm-hmm.
1917 and Ford versus Ferrari.
You are absolutely correct, and that's the conversation I had with myself this morning.
So, of course, I remembered that the Oscars split them.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, well, what did BAFTA do? And BAFTA went 1917, but BAFTA also went pretty crazy for 1917 in general. And
Yep.
right now we're talking about this. Is this Warfare's only nomination here? I can't remember if it was that or there was one more. Yeah, I think that is it. Um,
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
so
I'm looking at.
taking into account the general love, because the thing also we have to address is that BAFTA is an industry award.
Right.
And this is one of the rare awards where the Oscar voters actually kind of cross over. So you take into account how well a movie has done, like guild-wise, and how well it did Oscar-wise, more so than you would at the other awards we've done,
Certainly.
apart from SAG. So based on that, I leaned F1, but it could easily be Sinners, it could easily be Frankenstein, and One Battle, and yeah, even not being an Oscar nominee, I think Warfare is just as likely as any of them.
Yeah, I too am going with F1. Really, just because, like, and I'll probably be saying this again in a few weeks when we get to the Oscar nominations prediction, or Oscar predictions. The way to sort of make the soundscape and feel like as if you actually sort of are an F1 driver with the sounds, just that immersion to sort of that makes you feel in the zone is something that none of the others except probably Warfare is the other contender there. um but yeah, considering how F1 is seen as somewhat British, even though obviously the people that run it are sort of French, or at least the president's Middle Eastern or whatever. The fact that the majority of the teams have bases in the UK, um, I'd say says it has somewhat British. The sport has British skew, but I don't know whether the film certainly doesn't. Thanks, Apple. But yeah, I'll go with F1. Also because Rizzo, I don't know if he's a rat, but there's a Rizzo in there. So he's giving me Muppets vibes.
Yeah, it's funny because I did this in order when I was going over these this morning, and I looked at visual effects and I was like, I wanted to give it to F1, and I was like, no, I guess I'm gonna go with Frankenstein, whatever. And then I looked at sound, I was like, well, wait a minute, this is. And then we looked back at the same thing AJ brought up with 1917 and Ford versus Ferrari, and again, I took the same idea that AJ had, and that's the reason I went with what I did. So yeah, it's F1.
All right, production design. We've
Yeah.
we've got we've got Frankenstein, Hamnet, Marty Supreme, One Battle After Another, and Sinners. So if we were doing our Oscar predictions, I would have said one movie here and just been that's it. I didn't even consider anything else. But because this is BAFTA, I thought more about Hamnet than I otherwise would. I don't know why BAFTA is making me think that, but now that that's out there, I did say Frankenstein. And like I said, when we do I'm just saying this now. When we do Oscar predictions, I'm not even going to hesitate to say Frankenstein here. But for some reason here at BAFTA, I was kind of looking at Hamnet for a little bit, but I am going to stick with Frankenstein.
I'm gonna go out on a limb and say Sinners.
Nice.
Here.
But it's one where if I had a five-sided coin, because I could, or maybe less Marty Supreme, but I could see the other four possibly get it. But yeah, I'll go with Sinners. Ride or die.
I find this funny because I only had one movie in mind when I saw the five, and definitely negating what AJ just said. I only thought of Hamnet.
Okay. Okay. Does that bring us to score?
It does.
Mm-hmm.
It's a really good list. I believe it's also the Oscar list.
Yes.
Begonia, Frankenstein, Hamnet, One Battle After Another, and Sinners. Honestly, none of them would surprise me. And I know a lot of people are kind of pulling for Greenwood to do a little something throughout the year. Dexwall would be a great choice. Obviously, Fendrix is still one of the most unique sounds we have right now.
Baseball's the only one here that's won before.
Not Goranson?
No,
Oh wow.
not for BAFTA. Desblaw
I
won
guess
twice. Greenwood was nominated for 4 times. I think Gordonson was. I'm not. I don't have a notes in front of me, but I believe Gordonson was nominated like twice or 3 times with no wins. And
so
Fendrix was
presumably,
1 or 2. No, it
I
was
say,
2. Both movies.
I say presumably Black Panther and Oppenheimer, right?
Correct.
Which he won Oscars for, both of those.
Sure.
One might say he will continue this season and get a third Oscar as well, and I think that's the direction I'm headed. So I'm saying Sinners, but I do think a Greenwood win would be really cool. A Fendrix win would be really cool. But yeah, I suppose I'm good with any of this. We've already gone down the On the Nature of Daylight rabbit hole several times, so I don't need to bring Richter into this. But yeah,
It's annoying because Goranson wasn't even nominated for Black Panther
oh wow,
for BAFTA. They completely left him out. um, and technically the only award that Johnny's won. Um, well, sorry, two. He won score at the Critics' Choice for There Will Be Blood,
Right.
and music slash score at BIFA for You Were Never Really Here.
wow,
Ivor Novello Awards, which obviously is the songwriting stuff, gave him recognition for Phantom Thread as well as There Will Be Blood, but obviously that isn't entirely within the realm. Um, I'm hoping Johnny gets some recognition, so I'm going with Johnny Greenwood this time around. But I I wouldn't be surprised if Sinners took it.
I looked at the what I brought up earlier and what history was, at least at BAFTA, and I came up with the fact that I feel like this is finally when Greenwood wins. 4 nominations, he's finally going to win one.
all right. Makeup and hair.
Yes.
We're really making good time. This is great.
Like I said,
Green.
we haven't got to anything crazy yet, though. Don't forget that.
Yeah. Well, for makeup and hair, we've got Frankenstein, Hamnet, Marty Supreme, Sinners, and Wicked. There's this wild card of Wicked.
Yeah.
Where anytime it's here, what, twice, and it's totally possible for both of those, despite the fact that the Oscars made it seem like nobody wanted to fucking touch it.
Accurate.
So I do think Wicked is in the conversation for the stuff that it's here for, but otherwise, I feel like this is one where there's a pretty obvious answer, right? Unless they want to really go off the path and do something surprising. This it's got to be Frankenstein here, right? I can't honestly can't really imagine it going any other way.
Yeah, I mean, I was already sort of umming and ahhing over visual effects, so yeah, Frankenstein is my slot in here as well for makeup and hair.
Yeah, there's no reason to elaborate. Just because I go with it doesn't mean I like it. Yeah, it's Frankenstein.
Usually we do editing and cinematography as like a Big Ten thing, but I guess to be easier, just go in order.
Yes.
So let's go ahead and do editing, which is F1, A House of Dynamite, Marty Supreme, One Battle After Another, and Sinners. I mentioned it before, I'll mention it again. I really love that House of Dynamite nomination. These are the Oscar nominees, with the exception of Sentimental Value being in House of Dynamite's place.
As it should be.
So you would almost think there is an obvious answer here, and it is the one that I said, but this was, even though I pre-gamed this one, I have my official answer. Just even looking at this list again is like, did I make the right call though? What I said was F1, but and Marty Supreme, could totally be in the conversation also, but One Bow and Sinners are also absolutely in this conversation. But like F1 has so much cutting in it, but it never feels too frenetic, and that's a hard thing to do. It feels like everything you're looking at matters. In case it didn't seem obvious, I've rewatched F1 recently, so if I hadn't, I'd probably be saying something else, but I did, and that was what I was thinking about. So I'm gonna say F1, but I feel like One Battle and Sinners especially are definitely in this for sure, especially being like the two heavy hitters of the season. That just also makes sense, but F1 makes just as much sense. So, and we've got the four versus five precedent, which BAFTA did as well as the Oscars did. So that's what pushed me towards F1.
Yeah, House of Dynamite's the outsider on this. I'm also going with F1, but yeah, like you said, AJ, I could see any of the other three taking it.
I kind of like to think Marty Supreme's more in this than anybody think it is. But I don't believe that. And honestly, I always thought that Sinners in One Battle would split the votes. So yeah, I've been happy about this, and I would be happy for a win here. F1.
I would say I imagine you say vote splitting because they're the two heavy hitters,
Right.
but they definitely have editing wise they definitely have different flows.
Certainly.
But yeah, I'll be interested to see how this plays out. Despite that we all seem to think it's it's pretty in F1's favor, but
We did really well with that, with going for the plague at the Spirit Awards, so you never know. It was the
sometimes
right
that
answer, even though it wasn't the winner.
false. But the
No,
but
I
it is
can't
it
say
is
anything until I see it.
it is one of those cases though. Like sometimes that happens, sometimes it doesn't. What we were just saying about BAFTA. So yeah, we could be totally going down the wrong path here too. But um, this one, I actually struggled with costume design.
It's hard to go against Tazwell. It really is. I won't even lie.
Here's the thing. With costume design, we have Frankenstein, Hamnet, Marty Supreme, Sinners, and Wicked. I actually seriously considered Wicked.
Yeah, it's hard to go against Tazwell.
Yeah, but if Wicked wasn't here, again, I would have said Frankenstein without hesitating. But I was thinking, yeah, but there's like no passion for Wicked anymore, which pushes me towards Frankenstein. However, that's when I took another look and remembered that Frankenstein does not have any top 8 nominations at BAFTA besides a Lordy.
Yep.
Not picture, not director, not screenplay. So
As
that's
it should.
I said Frankenstein, but I honestly feel like Frankenstein and Wicked are more or less on equal ground here. Even though Wicked was shunned when the Oscar nominations came out. Um, Maybe I'm underestimating Hamnet. I said at the beginning, I wouldn't be surprised if Hamnet overperformed here. Did I say it at the beginning, or was I just thinking it?
You might have been thinking.
Okay. Well, that's a conversation we were gonna have later. But yeah, there's always a possibility. I think Hamnet might be that surprise overperform movie that BAFTA sometimes does. But I'm still saying Frankenstein for costumes.
As close as I can go with British Skew, I think they might go with Hamnet here. Because for the first time, I think, in a while, I don't think we've got any English people in here for costume design. You know, the sort of usual suspects that we've had for God knows how many years in, you know, Sandy Powell and Jacqueline Duran and sort of people like that aren't even in here, so. Or Jenny Bevan as well. So yeah, let's say Hamnet.
Yeah, I don't know why. It's just something that jumped out at me immediately. And I'm also going to go with Hamlet.
Okay. Um, Cinematography. I'm not going to say cinematography is easy as far as whether we're going to be right or not, but it's easy as far as my decision making process because we literally had this conversation 2 days ago.
Yes, we did.
Because if I remember correctly, this is the Oscar lineup:
Mm-hmm.
Frankenstein, Marty Supreme, One Battle, Sinners, and Train Dreams. So a lot of you probably weren't here for that Tuesday video because it was a Spirit Awards video.
Right.
But we talked about the fact that um, we were wondering if Josie had asked if Train Dreams was the front runner, and what I was saying was I think Frankenstein's actually not out of the conversation, and I think Sinners is probably its biggest competition. And what I also said earlier was that in any other year, I think Train Dreams would have been that movie that should be winning, is just happy to be nominated, like The Lighthouse. Where it's like when you look back on it, it's like, I mean, The Lighthouse really should have won, right? But it was a case of the fact that it got in was the victory. But then Train Dreams took off. It has universal love. It's got a Best Picture nomination at the Oscars, and I'm assuming it's probably looking good for the Guild too, which will probably solidify it. So I'm going to go ahead and say Train Dreams, but I do think Sinners is its main competition.
I'm going with Sinners on this one, but part of me wonders whether One Battle After Another's in with a shout here as well.
It's weird because One Battle's been such a juggernaut this year. This is gonna sound weird, but I feel like One Battle would be an inspired choice, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, I never considered anything else. Train Dreams.
All right. let's take a try at casting. We've got I Swear, Marty Supreme, One Battle, Sentimental Value, Sinners. Um, I mean, it just could be any of them, right?
Yeah.
I seriously considered I Swear.
Same.
I seriously considered Sinners. The thing that, and I'm not even saying this means anything, but because I just had to make a choice, and I wanted to make a choice relatively quickly, what pushed me in the direction I went was only one of these movies really is a movie that gets brought up and is the most prominent thing that seems to be talked about with this movie is its casting.
Ooh, I know where this is headed.
Yeah, that that took me to Marty Supreme because they all have an argument. Like they all have a reason to win. But it's like you bring up Marty Supreme in a conversation, one of the very first things that's going to come up is the casting, right? Again, not that that means anything for actually predicting this, but that just seems like kind of the choice that just comes out the most. So I'm just going to go with that, but I also acknowledge it could be any of them, especially with the newcomers involved in all of them.
Yeah. Casting at least only once, I would argue, has been about getting the cast right to some extent, and that was obviously when Rocks won in 2020. Because with the others being Joker, West Side Story, Elvis, Holdovers, and Redacted. Um, with those, it's been more sort of being the first lead role for a significant person. Obviously, with Holdovers, it was Sessa. Um, even though he obviously did stuff outside of film, Butler kind of came more on the radar with Elvis. Obviously he was a bit in Tarantino stuff, but it was his first significant lead, I want to say.
Yeah, for sure.
Um, and Redacted last year with Redacted. Although this time I think it's going to be a mix of the two, I will also be going Sinners on this one. I think finding Miles and having him sort of be a good singer as well, on top of getting what they did from the ashes of whatever that Marvel thing was supposed to be or whatever, um,
There.
might give it the
Also on the
edge.
Yeah, because on the previous thing, I'd say there's an argument to be made that Miles Caden's kind of leading in it.
Mm, yeah, no, I can certainly see that, but yeah, it's between that and acknowledging Chase Infinity, but because she has the potential to kind of get it earlier in the night, I could see it, possibly being all five. I want to say Sentimental Value and I Swear are the more outside ones, but yeah, I'll stick with Sinners.
Yeah, you're. I'm definitely not on that bandwagon at all, and won't be. I don't think they're on the outside. I think they're ready to strike. I like Marty Supreme. That's nice. obviously because of Penn Jillette. What they did with Sinners, it makes sense. One battle makes sense. Again, I feel like they split the vote. I swear it could be surprising because of obviously its love, but it doesn't look like it's going to win much. But its visibility, which I bring up every day, it seems like at this point. But yeah, weirdly enough, for casting, the one that jumped out at me immediately was Sentimental Value, and that's what I'm going with.
Speaking of,
Hey, yeah.
here, of course, we call it film not in the English language, and it's the Oscar lineup.
AJ, remember when It Was Just an Accident was going to be a juggernaut this season?
I don't know about Juggernaut, but we definitely thought we'd be saying its name more.
I would say juggernaut. I'm not saying winning things, but it would be nominated as a ton.
We've got It Was Just an Accident, The Secret Agent, Sentimental Value, Seurat, and The Voice of Henry Rajab. So here's the thing. When we were predicting the Spirit Awards and we got to International and we got to The Secret Agent, which we all correctly said, if I remember correctly. No.
Nope.
Oh, yeah. But we all had the right idea.
Correct.
Owen had the right idea. But what happened when we predicted that was I said, and I mean, it seems like that's a shift that's what we're going to be saying from now on, right? Well, here's the thing. The reason I said that is because I think because sentimental value has been so prominent in all the other categories in the Big Eight, and it's kind of such a universal story. I genuinely keep forgetting sentimental values in this category.
That's fair. I'll give you that.
So I mean, if you want to go for like the movie where like you really have to know the culture of the country it comes from, it would be The Secret Agent. But I mean, if you want to look at all the other nominations it's been getting, especially its Oscar overperformance, I still say it cannot be downplayed how major Sentimental Value's editing nomination of the Oscars is.
Absolutely.
They went hard on Sentimental Value, and the fact that Fanning came back on top of the loss, also being in there. I feel like it can't be downplayed how much love there is for Sentimental Value. So I could see a curveball to The Secret Agent based on what I just said, but the obvious choice is Sentimental Value. And you could use the argument of last year's Oscars, where there was like the most nominated movie was in the international category and then ended up losing. But obviously that's a whole different story. As far as I know, Sentimental Value's integrity isn't going to crash and burn anytime soon.
Definitely
not. The most nominated movie last year was lucky to get the two that it did. So I'm going to say Sentimental Value, but The Secret Agent's here. But yeah, I'll say it'll be that easy with a little bit of caution.
Oh. Let's see him throw a curveball. Voice of Henry Rajab.
Ooh.
I'm trying to work out if BAFTA is going to like. Although that would be risky because apparently BBC and everything are already prepping for any flashbacks, considering 6 months ago they had a Glastonbury performance which kind of wished not good things on certain people but got them in a lot of hot water. So apparently they're being extra careful about if anybody wants to go too politically motivated with their speeches. But that being said, I feel there's a chance that could cause an upset, and possibly make it sort of, because I think it's probably between Sentimental Value and Secret Agent at the Oscars. Those seem to be the two strongest so far. But Sirat and Voice of Hindu Job, I think, are in with a shout. And then how it became that it was just an accident is a number 5. I don't know.
I mean, I've seen all 5 of these, and this is, in my opinion, this is the best international lineup we've had in a long time. All 5 of these are different levels of great for very different reasons in very different ways.
Well, Sirach burned me at Spirit, so I wasn't going that route. Henry Job was never in the conversation. It was just an accident, crashed and burned. So it was down to one of my absolute favorite movies of the year and a movie that I really enjoyed. And then it came down to Wagner Moura and his non-inclusion where he should have been in this lineup for actor. And it made me think that Secret Agent could be vulnerable here, even more so than I thought. And then I thought about it, and I was like, well, wait a minute. If they're not going to go in this order, obviously, because they're all kinds of messed up, like it always is. But would I really want to go with Sentimental Value twice in a row, based on, of course, the Wikipedia lineup, which I know is not going to be the order, but still. And my response is yes. Yes, I do. I too am going with Sentimental Value. If Wagner Moura would have got in, I would say the Secret Agent would be stronger here. But it still can win.
Documentary.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
We have 2,000 Meters to Andrika, Apocalypse in the Tropics, Cover Up, Mr. Nobody Against Putin, and The Perfect Neighbor. We have 2 Oscar nominees, but I would think if the seeming frontrunner has any competition, my next one would be 2,000 Meters to Andrika before Mr. Nobody Against Putin, but I don't know. But I didn't really think too much about it because what happened was I bet against The Perfect Neighbor at the Spirit Awards and decided I'm never doing that again.
Yeah.
So, so I'm saying The Perfect Neighbor, which has seemed like the front runner for a while, but the documentary category can be a little crazy, so you never know. But I'm gonna be safe and say The Perfect Neighbor probably from now on.
I might as well risk it on British Skew, considering it's technically a semi-production of the channel that's broadcasting it in the UK. Doesn't usually work out well, because I don't know how much they were involved with Navalny a few years back. I can't remember exactly. I know it's just shown a lot on UK stuff because, for obvious reasons. I'll take a chance and go Mr. Nobody Against Putin.
Most times, the so-called frontrunner loses at the Oscars. Not all the time, but it's very rare that it doesn't happen. Then there's some years that it's just that obvious and it just rolls on the entire run. And yes, I too am never betting against The Perfect Neighbor again.
Okay, does that take us to animated?
Yes.
got this interesting lineup of three of Elio, Little Amelie, and Zootopia 2. So, obviously, the first one I ruled out was Elio, which means they could totally do something fucking crazy.
Yes.
It's very possible. And then I had the conversation again about this category versus the children's and family category, and it's like, will they go with the same one twice? Little Amelie actually does seem like a very realistic winner here.
Could happen.
Yeah. I almost feel like I should be saying it. But I went ahead and doubled up and said Zootopia for this and the children's category.
Again, I'm gonna take a chance here and go with Little Amelie. I'm just not sure whether. I don't think they're gonna do a double up. The problem is, have I predicted in the right direction? Have I put Zootropolis in the wrong thing when it should be in family, or vice versa? Like, oh, yeah. If, especially considering the sort of release that they've done in the last couple of weeks, depending when people are submitting their votes in. Because I don't know whether voting is actually closed on that off the top of my head, but if they're trying to put it fresh in people's minds, you know, it's got a chance. Elio doesn't, because that isn't in. Little Amelie's still in a handful of screens, I think. Zootropolis somehow still is, even though it's been out for nearly 3 months.
Yeah, I never thought about anything else. Zootopia.
All right, we've made it to the Big Eight.
Oh.
Okay. There's conversations to be had. Starting with adapted. We've got one battle after another: the Ballad of Wallace Island, Pillion, Begonia, and Hamnet. I'll cut to the chase. I did end up, no pun intended, in multiple ways. There's all kinds of chases going on in one battle.
Yes.
Actors and actual chases. I am saying PTA. But what I was saying before, and not just in this video, I feel like I've been planting seeds throughout the season, where I was like, regardless of how things have shifted, what things have taken over, what things have really shown their faces, I could imagine at least one awards body, and the Globe win doesn't really count.
Uh-uh.
We're talking like industry voted stuff. That at least one awards body would go Hamnet. I talked before about what if like PGA randomly went for it or something, and would it be so random if it did? Then of course we get here, and I feel like that feeling takes over even more. If there was one major awards body that would kind of go all in, or be very generous to, if not all in, for Hamnet, it would be BAFTA. So I was thinking about that for the higher category, and then I had to come back to this one and think, well, if there's a possibility that could happen, there has to be a possibility this could happen in adapted. But we'll have that conversation later. And yeah, I said PTA anyway, so that's what that is.
I'm just loving the fact that, you know, PTA is alongside one of the creative consultants of Taskmaster.
Yes.
I'm saying PTA here as well. God forbid they actually get really inspired and go, yeah, Pilly. That would be incredible. Um, but it's weird, like, he wins nothing for the majority of his career, and then they're going to give him multiple ones probably at the same time.
Yeah, again, I would love Wallace Island to win this. And I don't think it's impossible. But if there's going to be an upset, it's going to be Chloe Zhao, and we don't need that. So we're going to go ahead and continue the PTA train. It's going to be a great rest of the season.
Let's talk about original.
Okay.
We got Marty Supreme, Sinners, The Secret Agent, I Swear, and Sentimental Value. Again, it can't be understated that Sentimental Value is really liked in the industry. We still don't know what the fuck happened with SAG, but it's been proven that Sentimental Value is loved.
Absolutely.
We talked about Marty Supreme being a possibility in the past. I've been on the thing for a while now that Oscar wise, I think Coogler's good to go. If you
Yeah.
ask me. Let me say that one more time. Oscar wise, I think Coogler's probably good to go. But BAFTA's got a BAFTA somewhere. So this is where I kind of took my BAFTA will do something crazy swing, and I said I swear here.
Um, Screenplays don't usually go crazy, at least in terms of BAFTA, I want to say. They've been relatively consistent in at least being something that's, an Oscars contender, if not the winner. I will go with Sinners here. But I do think, yeah, there's a chance that sort of sentimental values could sort of somewhat sneak in, given its misses, elsewhere and whatever.
Yeah, I'd love to go with Marty Supreme or Sentimental Value here, but I can't. I swear it's inspired, but clearly not when you look at the other nominations. Weirdly enough, I think The Secret Agent is the one thing that is the outlier here. Yeah, so I get to go against two movies I really enjoy and one that I don't hate. I'm sorry. I'm not going to mark out for it like it's the second coming or anything like that, but it's I don't dislike the movie. I like it a lot, but it's the winner. Sinners.
All right, acting.
Oh my god.
I'm gonna be up front right away. I played it really safe with these.
Well, maybe.
I've got yeah, the nominees.
You
Uh,
already got that field alone, sir. Trust me.
for supporting actress, we've got Odessa Zion for Marty Supreme, Angus Dollar Lost for Sentimental Value, Women Misaki for Sinners, Carey Mulligan for The Ballad of Wallace Island, Tiana Taylor for One Battle After Another, and Emily Watson. If you look back at my early predictions, I knew Emily Watson was coming in somewhere.
Yes, you did.
So, um, I I think I mentioned this when we did SAG. I'm pretty sure I did. Um, I really want this to be like an Amy Madigan sort of year. whenever she's actually here. Of course, she's not here.
Mhm.
Um, but as much as I wish that were the case, which I couldn't even do that here anyway, I imagine there's just so much momentum going on at this point that Tiana Taylor's probably got this for the rest of the season. And it's gonna be one of those performances that just kind of wraps up here at the end. So I'm gonna go ahead and say her here as well.
British skew. Wumi Masaka.
Ooh, that throw a wrench into things.
Well, you kind of took my fire, so I'll have to explain myself. All right, so we look at the lineup here. There's no Elle Fanning. There's no Amy Madigan. Emily Watson's here for some reason, so yeah, we'll take her out immediately. Odessa Zion, I love the performance. It also gets eliminated right away. So we get down to 4 performances. I love Carrie to death. Everyone knows that. This is the one I want to win. If you want to really shake things up, I'd love to see her win this. And she deserves to. And if you don't like what I say, I could care less. You knock out Lilias next because I feel the love for sentimental value is not necessarily needing a female acting win, potentially, but maybe another idea instead. We'll get there. And me of all people, get it down to the last 2. Would you go safe, or would you try to shock everyone, believing that the balance of power has switched with a surprise win in supporting actress? No, it hasn't. Sorry, it hasn't. But even if this were to happen, it's still more visibility for the movie. And I really, really fought with myself when I got it down to those 2. And I could say Ashley stole my thunder, but I'd be lying because at the very last minute, I decided better be safe than sorry. Taylor.
Okay, supporting actor.
Yep.
This category has been delightfully all over the place. This could really push the race in a different direction or not.
I like the way that's or not.
We've got Benicio del Toro for One Battle After Another, Jacob Elordi for Frankenstein, Paul Mescal for Hamnet, Peter Mullen for I Swear, Sean Penn for One Battle After Another, and Stellan Skarsgård for Sentimental Value. Elordi could completely push this race in his direction. Del Toro could push this race in his direction. Penn could do that.
Right.
Mescal could fuck with everybody. Peter Mullen could fuck with everybody.
Very true on both accord.
But I made my theory known a while back, and I'm gonna stick to it. If this doesn't happen, I don't know what the hell I'm gonna do when ours predictions come around. But what I've been saying, if you haven't been here, is that my theory for the last like month or so has been that regardless of what happens at SAG, because he's not there, because Sentimental Value isn't there at all for some reason that nobody knows.
True.
I'm gonna say Skarsgård wins this, which propels him to an Oscar win. Kind of doubling bet here, I guess.
I see it going 3 ways. Skarsgård wins and it's a one-horse race at the Oscars. Del Toro wins, and it's a three-horse race possibly at the Oscars, depending what happens at the actors. Or Paul Mescal wins, and nobody has a fucking clue. Probably a mistake to stick with Del Toro, but I'm just thinking I'll stick with Del Toro. I'm not sure whether BAFTA would go with Penn, to be honest. Um, God forbid it is them that's causing the split in the voting that's leading, the other contenders to come in. But yeah, I'll stick with the Del Toro ship in more ways than one.
Especially after I was forced to deal with him for over 2 hours in a very uncomfortable circumstance. I really hope this Jacob Elordi thing is dead and buried now and it doesn't go any further. I could really see Mescal winning this, honestly. I totally can. Especially if they go heavy, like AJ was mentioning, if they go heavy on Hamnet, like even more so it overperforms, I can easily see this happening. Penn can finally get a victory, but I don't think that's happening either. Del Toro could just roll right in without any competition whatsoever, which I wouldn't have an issue with. But yeah, it's funny because AJ speaks the truth like he always does. Sometimes I agree, sometimes I don't. I'm going to agree here because, it makes sense. You're not dying on this hill alone, good sir. Stellan Skarsgård.
Another thing we said in Mescal's defense when we were talking about SAG was that a surprising amount of people spoke up when he didn't make the Oscar lineup.
I remember that.
Yeah, it's one of those things where are they going to want to throw. Are there enough people going to want to throw something to him? Whichever one of these it could be. But yeah, that'll be interesting.
I mean, that also could be where Peter Mullen's votes come from, too. Potentially.
All right, actress.
Let's get this over with right now.
Got Jessie Buckley for Hamnet, Rose Byrne for Five Legs I Kick You, Kate Hudson for Song Song Blue, Chase Infinity for One Battle After Another, Renata Renzo for Sentimental Value, and Emma Stone for Begonia. Rose Byrne's not out of the running in general.
I really wish I believed you.
But I will say I thought about this for 1 second.
You thought about it 1 second longer than I did.
Of course I'm saying Jessie Buckley.
Yeah, with the British, to some extent, regardless of British skew, it's one of those times where you can't call it British skew because, like it has been a few other times, I think Gary Oldman was the same, possibly not, but like when it's a British actor that's sort of been in contention practically the entire season, they usually side with the British one. If they made it interesting and went with Byrne, that could that could put a dent in Buckley's chances possibly. That would then if then Byrne got the actor, all of a sudden Buckley's win and this crown-making moment at the Globes kind of goes to nothing. So
Stop trying to give me false hopes.
It's an
Ashley.
Interesting pivot. Then again, at the rate we're going, the actor will probably go to Kate Hudson, and then it will be really sort of nobody.
Hell yes.
Well, I think we were kind of saying before, if SAG was going to do something to shake it up, it honestly wouldn't be crazy to imagine Byrne winning SAG. And of course, Buckley winning this, but sometimes the world does crazy shit, and I almost wouldn't be surprised if we thought that so surely, and it was the reverse. And I feel like that's happened also. But I mean, I do think it's Buckley the rest of the way, but I we've just seen so much crazy shit. I don't know what would surprise me anymore.
There's no reason to even talk this much about this category. Like, let me put this. Okay, fine. I'll give you that. Fine. Uh, Renata Renzva would be great winner here. Love that. Not going to happen. Chase Infinity would be fun. Not going to happen. I don't know how many fans in the UK there are of Neil Diamond for Kate Hudson's performance to sink in. I love
Considering the English football anthem for the past 5-6 years has
Sweet
been Sweet
Caroline.
Caroline.
Of course it is. Yes, Kate Hudson to win. I'd love that. That would be great. Make that happen. Shooting into my veins. I'd love Rose Byrne to make this a 2-horse race, but even if she did, I still think that every time that I see the trailer for Maggie Gyllenhaal's Joker, I get even more excited for its existence. And yeah, there's no competition. Jessie Buckley's going to win this. Again, we've talked about it for a while. We don't even need to bring it up anymore. Just literally give her the Oscar right now. I beg you to shake it up, but you're not going to. Speaking of not shaking things up, Best Actor.
We got Robert Aramayo for I Swear, Chalamet for Marty Supreme, DiCaprio for One Bite After Another, Ethan Hawke for Blue Moon, Michael B. Jordan for Sinners, and Jesse Plemons for Begonia. Plemons is somebody else. People are really coming. People are mad about him missing the Oscar lineup, and I get it. I would think. I actually thought about this for a second too. I think if anything was going to make this interesting, it would be BAFTA doing a BAFTA thing and going Robert Aramayo over Chalamet. That's the only way I can imagine Chalamet not getting this. But I am saying Chalamet. Chalamet has also got in his corner that this wouldn't be a repeat win for him because I'm pretty sure Brody got this last year. Isn't this what kind of ended the race? After Chalamet got the tag?
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm saying Chalamet, but I'm putting it on record that Aramayo, I think, is the only one that could take this from him.
I'm saying Chalamet as well, but I could see BAFTA giving it to any of the six, to be fair.
It's such a great...
Depends how they feel.
Yeah, I don't want to, take anything away from Chalamet or anything, but these Best Actor lineups through the whole season have been so amazing. It's actually kind of annoying there's been a front runner this whole time. This would have been a great year for actor to jump around. But this doesn't seem to be the case.
So speaking of doesn't seem to be the case, the right answer here is Ethan Hawke. And I would love him finally to get a victory here because he totally deserves it. He's my favorite performance out of this, and that's easy to say. This could be the win that Michael B. Jordan finally gets. Honestly,
I'd be here for that.
Not going to be, but it could be. Maybe they start realizing DiCaprio is actually in this race, and maybe they finally give him a win. Aramayo is a possibility. Yes, for sure. And yeah, I feel like so many people are butthurt about the Oscar lineup. Plemons could sneak in and take this. But I can't show the picture because my phone's going to die. So, yeah, Chalamet wins this. And I feel like this is the end. He wins the rest of the run.
I mean, it feels like it was over. It feels like before we ever had one award ceremony.
I think Chalamet and Buckley both had before we had one ceremony.
But it's also that thing of No, there's always the theory of, oh, this is how the front runner could go down, but the front runner never goes down.
Yeah, of course.
But the argument you'd have is fucking Chalamet's campaign just wearing people out.
Right.
And then like, you know what? I'm just gonna go with somebody else because I'm kind of tired of
Or
this.
it's the polar opposite. Just give it to him. He wants it that badly. Just give it to him, and then we won't vote for him ever again.
Yeah. Well, does that bring us to director?
Oh yes, it does.
We got PTA for One Battle After Another, Ryan Coogler for Centers, Yorgos Lanthimos for Begonia, Josh Safdie for Marty Supreme, Yogi Trier for Sentimental Value, and Chloe Zhao for Ham. Um, honestly, the Hamnet conversation we've been having, as prominently as we can have that conversation, I didn't really think about anybody else but PTA.
There's no reason to.
I think, I mean, it was kind of already in the bag, but I think DGA pretty much, like, his flag is in the earth.
Yes.
I'm saying PTA, but I wouldn't be surprised if Kugler or Zhao did come up.
Yeah, there's no reason you would consider it. It's PTA.
There's still the part in the back of my head that's like, what if this is 2022 all over again and we're wrong on every single one? That would, I mean, that would, I mean,
It makes
a
you
lot of,
happy because then Kugler would win, and then you'd still win.
well, I mean, a lot of these people are deserving, but as far as having an exciting race, how amazing would that be to like have everything derailed?
Joachim Trier wins.
That's actually what I was thinking when I said that. So, with that in mind, our picture lineup is Hamnet, Marty Supreme, One Battle, Sentimental Value, Sinners. I really, really, really thought about this Hamnet,
So did I, honestly.
and I can still, even though I've made my decision, I can still picture it. I will not be surprised one bit if we get there and they say Hamnet. I really won't. I'm saying One Battle After Another, obviously, but I think it will be one of those years where we're kind of more or less in line. But like I was saying a long time ago, I would not be surprised if one major awards body goes full Hamnet.
You never go full Hamnet.
It's the only one that can, because it's the only time Mescal got nominated.
If you go full Hamnet, you then verge on oh hell.
Not quite yet. We'll save that to Tuesday when I have seen it again for a second time.
So which one did you go with, AJ?
One Battle After Another.
I'll go with that as well. But just like with director, I can see it be Sinners or Hamnet.
I thought about this one for a minute and what I could see happening. And it really could possibly happen. And Sinners finally getting like a major win like this would be a really good propelling into like SAG and everything like that. And again, it's one of those things like, oh man, the balance of power switch. Like if Winnie Musako would win, I was like, it's my favorite movie of the year. It's doing so well this season. We're almost at the finish line. My God, just let it finally happen. One battle after another.
I think that's it.
Is it?
So I'm just double checking because they put like a list on their press release, but I'm going by the Twitter feed because that seems to be the most accurate because it's also acknowledging now that West End Paddington is showing up. Whether Ben Wisher will voice it or whether they'll just go with the people that are portraying it in terms of the stage production.
They literally brought that up like almost 2 hours ago.
Yeah, but when it said Paddington, I wasn't sure whether it was,
I don't care. It's still Paddington. That's enough.
No. So yeah, the other presenters apparently are in first name alphabetical order: Aaron Pierre, Amy Lou Wood, Alicia Vikander, Alia Blatt, Bryan Cranston, Cillian Murphy, David Johnson, Delroy Lindo, good, Emily Watson, Erin Doherty, Ethan Hawke, Gillian Anderson, Glenn Close, Hannah Waddingham, Karen Gillan, Kate Hudson, Catherine Hahn, Kerry Washington, Little Sims, Maggie Gyllenhaal, Ian McKenna Bruce, Michael B. Jordan, Miles Caton, Millie Alcock, Millie Driver, Monica Bellucci, Noah Jupe, Olivia Cook, Patrick Dempsey, Regé Jean Page, Reese Ahmed, Sadie Sink, Stellan Skarsgård, Stormzy, and last year's Fellowship winner Warwick Davis.
Sounds fun.
Yeah, we'll see how that goes. So yeah, we'll be back Sunday after it's aired in the UK because it's the easiest for the guys to be able to see. Although I'll be interested to see whether God, I'm trying to work out if there's anybody that's got such a bad accent that they'll have to put American subtitles.
It's always fun.
I feel it could happen, but we'll see. So yeah, that'll be roughly 4:15 Eastern, just to give us a few minutes to sort of set up and quote unquote recover from whatever happens in the 2-hour broadcast. And then next Tuesday will be the hangout session.
Yes.
We'll have chats up for both, but obviously the hangout thing will be a wider encompass. It doesn't have to just be about the BAFTAs and whatever. Even though, as I say, considering there is actually a US delayed broadcast, whether that kind of will get carried over to Tuesday, we'll see. Depending how you guys are obviously watching it out there. But other than that, yeah, that's your docket for the next 7 days, roughly.
So that's going to be your show for tonight. I want to thank everyone for joining us. I can't say live because, well, if you did, obviously you couldn't say anything. But don't worry, we'll give you an opportunity to do so on Tuesday. Thank you for joining tonight, whether live or an archive. Ashley can be found on X at AshIsMyNameUK. AJ has more content coming in the future, as does Ashley, as do I, for that matter. And we'll be back here Tuesday night, 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for a good old-fashioned show. So, yeah, we'll be one of the first people to talk, at least in the States, to talk about BAFTA. So that'll be fun. It's going to be your show. So thanks, everyone, for watching. Thanks, everyone, for listening. Always remember to have the best day ever. 'Tis the season after all. Streamwater Parks, Bandcamp site. Check that out. Proceeds go to what they need to go to. And Brody King is the man. So that is going to be your show. I want to thanks everyone for watching. Thanks, everyone, for listening. And until tomorrow, boys and girls, that's all we got to say about that.